Hello, JikookVerse family. Welcome back to JikookVerse, where we talk about the moments, stories, and emotions that keep the fandom talking. Today, we have a story that has fans paying very close attention to one particular detail involving Jimin and Jungkook. The headline says it all. The agency asked Jungkook to pay extra attention to Jimin, and the reason behind that request has fans feeling emotional. According to the story we are following today, Jimin had been dealing with exhaustion after his concert in Toronto. The excitement of the performance was still fresh, but behind the scenes, his body had not fully recovered. Jimin had pushed through the concert, given everything to the stage, and continued his schedule even though he was not feeling completely fit afterward. And that is where Jungkook became especially important. The agency reportedly noticed that Jimin was still not back to his usual condition. He was moving more slowly, resting more often, and trying to conserve his energy whenever he could. Nothing about the situation was described as dramatic in the beginning. It was more about the small signs that someone close to him would notice. And apparently, the agency wanted someone who would notice those signs. That person was Jungkook. The reason this story has caught so much attention is not simply because Jungkook was asked to look after Jimin. It is because the request supposedly came directly from the agency after seeing how much Jimin had been pushing himself. The message was simple: keep an eye on Jimin, make sure he rests, and do not let him overdo it. For fans who have watched Jikook moments for years, that kind of instruction immediately creates a very emotional picture. Imagine the scene after the Toronto concert. The adrenaline of performing has started to disappear. The stage lights are gone. The cheers of the crowd have faded into the background. Everyone is moving on to the next part of the schedule, but Jimin is still carrying the physical cost of the performance. He has done what he always does. He gave the audience everything, but now his body is asking for something in return: rest. And this is where the story says Jungkook began paying closer attention. Rather than waiting for Jimin to say that he was tired, Jungkook was reportedly encouraged to notice the little things. Whether Jimin had eaten enough, whether he was drinking water, whether he was getting enough sleep, whether he was standing for too long, whether he was trying to act fine simply because he did not want anyone else to worry. Those details may sound small, but when someone is recovering from exhaustion, small things can matter. And Jungkook, according to this story, was not treating the request casually. He was taking it seriously. There is something especially touching about that because Jimin is known for being the kind of person who often thinks about everyone else first. Even when he is tired, he can still smile, still joke, still ask other people how they are doing, and still make sure everyone around him is comfortable. That kind of personality can make it difficult to recognize when he needs care himself. So the agency's instruction to Jungkook was not really about doing something dramatic. It was about being observant. Notice when Jimin gets quiet. Notice when he stops eating. Notice when he is trying to hide his fatigue. Notice when he says he is fine a little too quickly. And most importantly, do not let him carry everything alone. That last part is what makes this story especially emotional for JikookVerse family, because Jungkook and Jimin have a long history of understanding each other through little signals. Sometimes a glance can say more than a full conversation. Sometimes one person notices a change in the other's expression before anyone else does. So when Jungkook was reportedly asked to pay extra attention to Jimin, the story suggests that he did not need a long explanation. He already understood. Jimin had not fully recovered after Toronto. He needed time. He needed rest, and he needed someone willing to stay close enough to notice when he was pushing himself too far. According to the story, Jungkook became more careful around Jimin during this period. Not in an obvious or dramatic way, just little things, checking in. Asking if he had eaten, encouraging him to sit down, making sure he did not stay on his feet too long, and quietly paying attention when Jimin looked more tired than usual. That is the kind of care that can easily go unnoticed by everyone else. But for the person receiving it, it can mean everything. And there is another detail in this story that makes the situation even more interesting. Jimin reportedly did not want to make a big deal out of his condition. He did not want everyone changing their plans around him. He did not want people worrying. He simply wanted to recover and continue. That attitude sounds very Jimin. He has always had a strong sense of responsibility, especially when he knows other people are counting on him. But there comes a point when determination can turn into overexertion. And apparently, that is what the agency wanted to prevent. So instead of telling Jimin to stop everything, the approach was more gentle. Keep him comfortable. Give him support. Let him recover without making him feel like he was causing a problem. And this is where Jungkook's role became so important. Because sometimes the person who needs help most is the person who is least likely to ask for it. Jungkook reportedly understood that. Instead of repeatedly asking Jimin if he was okay and accepting the answer immediately, he watched. If Jimin said he was fine but looked exhausted, Jungkook paid attention to the second part. If Jimin said he was not hungry, Jungkook did not simply ignore it. If Jimin wanted to keep moving when he clearly needed a break, Jungkook stayed nearby. There was reportedly a quiet kind of protectiveness in the way he handled the situation. And for fans, that is exactly the kind of detail that makes this story impossible to ignore. Because it is not about one dramatic moment. It is about consistency. It is about choosing to care in ordinary moments. There is also something deeply human about seeing someone who is usually energetic suddenly needing a slower pace. Jimin is often associated with movement, energy, performance, precision, and a level of physical effort that demands a lot from the body. After a major concert, especially one with the emotional and physical intensity of a Toronto performance, recovery is not something that can always happen instantly. The applause ends in one night. The body may need much longer. And that is why the agency reportedly wanted Jungkook to stay attentive. The goal was not to make Jimin feel fragile. The goal was to make sure he did not have to pretend to be stronger than he was. According to the story, Jungkook's approach was surprisingly simple. He did not hover. He did not make every moment serious. He kept things normal. He joked with Jimin when Jimin wanted to laugh. He gave him space when Jimin wanted quiet. And when Jimin looked like he needed help, Jungkook was there. That balance matters. When someone is unwell, too much attention can feel overwhelming. Too little attention can leave them feeling alone. So the person providing support has to understand the difference. And the story suggests that Jungkook did. There was reportedly one moment when Jimin tried to continue through a busy part of the schedule despite looking visibly tired. Jungkook noticed. Instead of turning the situation into a major conversation, he simply stayed close and reminded Jimin to take it easy. Jimin reportedly brushed it off at first. He smiled. He tried to act normal. But Jungkook apparently did not let the moment disappear completely. He kept checking. That is such a small thing, but it says a lot. Because there is a difference between asking someone once if they are okay and continuing to care after they say yes. Sometimes people say yes because they do not want to explain. Sometimes they say yes because they are trying to be strong. Sometimes they say yes because they genuinely believe they can keep going. And sometimes they just need someone else to notice that they should stop. Jungkook was reportedly that person for Jimin. And according to the story, the agency was pleased with how seriously he took the responsibility. The request may have started as a practical instruction, but it quickly became part of the daily rhythm around Jimin. Rest when possible. Eat properly. Stay hydrated. Avoid unnecessary strain. And let the people around him share the responsibility of taking care of him. For fans watching from the outside, there is something comforting about that. Jimin was not being treated as someone who had to keep performing no matter what. He was being treated as a person. A person who could get tired. A person who could need support. A person who did not have to prove anything by pretending he was perfectly fine. And Jungkook, in this story, became one of the people making that easier. The timing also made the whole situation more meaningful. After the Toronto concert, Jimin had already given fans everything he had on stage. The energy, the emotion, the choreography, the vocals, the connection with the audience. But once the concert was over, the body still had to recover. And maybe that is the part people forget when they see performers under bright lights. The audience sees the polished final product. The performer feels every sore muscle, every moment of exhaustion, every hour of lost sleep. So when Jimin was still recovering, the agency did not want the next schedule to become another test of endurance. They wanted someone nearby who could recognize when Jimin needed to slow down. And according to the story, Jungkook was the obvious choice. There is also a subtle emotional side to this. When someone is not feeling well, being cared for can make them feel vulnerable, especially someone who is used to being strong in front of millions of people. Jimin has spent years performing in front of huge audiences, smiling through pressure, dealing with packed schedules, and carrying expectations that most people will never fully understand. So accepting care is not always as easy as giving it. But the story suggests that Jungkook did not make Jimin feel weak for needing support. He made it feel normal. That may be the most important detail of all, because real care is not about reminding someone that they are sick. It is about helping them remember that they are allowed to rest. And that message seemed to be exactly what Jungkook was giving Jimin during this period. There was no dramatic announcement, no major public statement, just a quiet adjustment, a little more patience, a little more attention, a little more checking in. And for JikookVerse family, those are the moments that can say the most. The story also suggests that Jimin gradually started responding to that support. At first, he was reportedly trying to maintain his usual pace. Later, he seemed more willing to accept breaks. He rested more, he stopped trying to do everything at once, and he allowed the people around him to help without turning every moment into a conversation about his condition. Jungkook reportedly stayed consistent throughout that process. He did not act like the situation was temporary just because Jimin looked better on one particular day. He continued paying attention, because recovery is not always linear. Someone can look perfectly fine in the morning and feel exhausted by the afternoon. Someone can laugh and still be tired. Someone can perform well and still need to rest afterward. And Jungkook reportedly understood that. That is why the agency's original request became more than a simple instruction. It became a reminder that Jimin's health mattered too. And there is something powerful about the idea that the person standing beside you does not simply watch when things get difficult. They notice before you even ask. They adjust. They stay patient. They make room for recovery. That is the image this story paints of Jungkook and Jimin during the days after Toronto. Not a dramatic rescue. Not a huge public display. Just two people moving through a difficult moment with more care than usual. And for fans, that can be enough to make the entire story feel deeply emotional. Because at the end of the day, Jimin did not need to be pushed harder. He needed to be reminded that slowing down was okay. And Jungkook, according to this story, was there to make sure he remembered that. The most striking part is perhaps how ordinary the care sounded. Eat something, drink water, sit down, get some sleep, take your time. Those are simple words. But when you are exhausted, simple words from the right person can feel incredibly meaningful. And maybe that is why this story has resonated so strongly with Jikook fans. It is not really about one instruction from an agency. It is about what happened after that instruction. The choice to pay attention, the choice to notice, the choice to stay close, and the choice to make sure Jimin did not have to carry his recovery alone. So, JikookVerse family, the story we are left with is this. After the Toronto concert, Jimin was still recovering and had not yet returned to full strength. The agency became concerned that he might push himself too hard. Jungkook was reportedly asked to pay extra attention to him. And instead of treating that responsibility like a task, he approached it with patience, consistency, and a quiet kind of care. He watched the little things. He checked on Jimin. He encouraged him to rest. And he remained nearby when Jimin needed support. Sometimes the most emotional stories are not the ones with the biggest moments. They are the ones where someone quietly notices that another person is tired and decides not to walk away. That is the heart of this story. Jimin had already given the stage everything he had. After Toronto, the priority became recovery. And while Jimin focused on getting his strength back, Jungkook reportedly made sure he did not have to do it without someone looking out for him. For a person who spends so much time taking care of everyone else, having someone return that care can mean more than words can explain. And that is what makes this story so memorable. Not the instruction itself, not the schedule, not the headlines, but the quiet understanding between two people when one of them needs a little extra support. So, JikookVerse family, that is the story making everyone look a little closer at the days after Toronto. Jimin was not fully fit. The agency wanted him protected from unnecessary strain. And Jungkook was asked to keep a closer eye on him. According to the story, he did exactly that. And maybe the most comforting thought is that Jimin did not need to ask twice. He simply had someone there, someone watching, someone noticing. Someone reminding him that rest was not a weakness. And sometimes, that is the kind of care people remember for a very long time. This is JikookVerse, and the message from today's story is simple. After giving everything to the world on stage, even someone as strong as Jimin deserves a moment where someone else says, "Take a breath, sit down, and let me look after you." Thank you for being here, JikookVerse family. Stay with JikookVerse for more stories, more moments, and more conversations that keep our little corner of the fandom alive.